All right, take it away, Brian.
Hey y'all, I'm Brian. All probably know me. I am currently the social media manager of ACDA. If you guys don't know what ACDA stands for, it stands for the American Choral Directors Association. I know some of you Spartans members are here right now, so thank y'all for coming. Yeah, so a little bit about me, how I signify with this presentation. I, I I do come from I do have a big acapella background in me. I was part of a community acapella group my sophomore year of high school back in my hometown of Santa Clarita, California. We It was a really fun acapella group to be in. They accepted members from like 10-year-olds to like 18-year-olds. So we had a wide variety of range, and our acapella our team was like split into like three divisions. Like you had a middle school slash like elementary school kind of acapella group. That's like one section, and then you had a lower high school level kind of acapella group. I was in that one because of my age, and then you had like an elite acapella group, which was like 16 and older. So yeah, and then I learned a lot. I was mainly a bass, so I've sang so I've pretty much sang a lot of bass. I'm familiar with how to use like the bass mic and like really carrying that foundation in acapella music. And yeah, and also now I'm currently doing collegiate acapella. I've been in collegiate acapella since my freshman year of college. Competed in two competitions. Been through Went through a lot of showcases with different schools and all that stuff. I do both bass and beatbox, depending on which songs have beatbox, which or don't. You know, I sing beatbox with beatbox and then bass without beatbox. So yeah, cool. So let's get my presentation started. So yeah, so today I'm gonna be talking to you guys about how acapella is like a trend today, and yeah, why it's getting out there. And then I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of how to maybe like start your own groups and like how to arrange and all that. So yeah, let's share my screen. I hope my Google Chrome's on here. Okay. Share some. Cool. All right, if you guys can see my screen, please give me a thumbs up. Okay, cool. Okay, let's begin. All right. So first, let's talk a little bit of history of the acapella world. So people believe that like acapella has existed since humanity itself, and honestly, I believe that's a true statement because uh, back then, things weren't really invented. So how would people make sounds? With like probably with their own voices, right? So yeah, there weren't instruments made. Like we didn't know how to make guitars or trumpets or clarinets. We didn't even have like like technology to like make like sick beats. So we had to do it with our own voices. So yeah, it seems pretty fair to say it probably has existed since humanity itself. And and then next thing you know, people believe that like the earliest pieces of acapella music, like in sheets of paper, were discovered in 2000 BC. So yeah, long time ago. And then acapella starts to develop around like the late 15th century AD, and that's when mostly like Christian acapella polyphony would like develop. And then by like the 16th century, like cantata would be like used in acapella form as well. And if you guys know what cantata is, it's like a little like choral like accompaniment, like vocal choral accompaniment with like music. So it's just like a historical way of saying it. Then you get into the 20th century. So the 20th century is when acapella is starting to go at its peak. So in 1906, the first acapella choir is introduced in the U.S., which is at Northwestern University. And yeah, so yeah, that's when like the first acapella like kind of group like is established in the U.S. And then when you get into the 30s, barbershop style is introduced. And then you would have all these barbershop competitions coming in, and they're all competing to win some money and all that, and then next thing you know, people are recording, um, and all that good stuff. And barbershop, people still do barbershop competitions today. And I think there's like 22,000 like members singing barbershop right now, competitively. So yeah, so if you guys want to ever join a barbershop group, go for it. There's still a lot out there. And then when you get into once you get to like a long time ahead, right? Once you get into the 80s, that's when the pop style is introduced. Um, so so what I mean by pop style is more like, I'm thinking groups uh who's a good example? Like who knows, like New Kids on the Block, or like New Edition and all that stuff. Like I know they technically have fame in the 90s, but they start like practicing in the like late 80s. So what they're doing is pretty much just singing together, but with different harmonies. So if let's say I sang, like, "Oh baby, give me one more chance, show you that I love you." Another harmony would be like, "Oh baby, give me one more chance," something like that, So yeah, that's what they're just doing, but there's no like bass, like rhythm, or like beatbox at the time. And then you get into the 90s, which is when the beatbox and bass stuff comes in. So yeah, because of beatboxers, the acapella sound could tend to be a bit more rhythmic for sure, and then it's easier to keep rhythm by adding beatboxers and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how acapella has developed over the years. So yeah, okay, let's move on. Enough of history. So who wants to take a guess? What's the most significant thing that's bringing acapella to attention? What do you guys think? Like, that is bringing it to attention the most? Ginger's doing it in sign language. Katie.
I was gonna say like mainstream media as far as like movies, you're starting to see movies bringing it into the popular fold, like Pitch Perfect, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like movies. And then Ginger, you want to shout out what you just said or put in sign language?
Glee.
Glee. Okay. Glee. Yeah, that's a good one.
Singing competitions.
Singing competitions. Yes. 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 So yeah, that's the main one though. Yeah. So singing competitions, like, so lately, like, I'm gonna say like more towards like the young singers who want to enter like into college and all that, who sing, right? They want like hecka like attention in their singing, and then like in a way they want to get noticed in a way. So they feel like the best way to do that is through these competitions. And because and because the collegiate acapella field has like different kinds of competitions and all that, it attracts these singers to hop in, because that's when they get hecka noticed, like around the nation, when they win, and they want to win to get recognized around the nation. And then next thing you know, they get they get put on like a winning like music video for their own like set, and then they'll gain like hundreds and thousands of views, and next thing you know, producers from professional companies see them, and they want to put them in the record business and all that. So that's the reason why like acapella is also a good way for them to start. So here's some examples of some competitions and shows that have brought people into the whole music business aspect. With acapella, so you have ICCAs/ICHSA. Does anyone know what that stands for? ICCAs, ICHSA? Anyone want to take a guess? No? Okay, I'll tell you guys. So the ICCAs, it stands for International Competition of Collegiate Acapella. So if you have ICCA, what do you think ICHSA stands for? So you have International Collegiate of, what's HSA? Give you guys a hint. It's a school lower than college.
High school acapella?
Yeah, high school acapella. Yep. So yeah, you got the collegiate acapella competition, and the high school acapella competition. Okay. So the ICCAs and ICHSA. Well, that's a tongue twister. The competition was founded by Deke Sharon, a very popular acapella producer. He's produced shows like The Sing Off, which is down below. I'll talk about that a little more later. And he's also took work in Pitch Perfect as well. I actually got to see Deke Sharon live with this acapella group called the House Jacks, and they're an amazing group, and they've taught us a lot. So yeah, he's one wonderful guy to work with for sure. Yeah, so like I said, also ICCAs and ICHSA also has brought attention to students to join schools, quote unquote, best at acapella. Does someone want to take a guess? What school has won the most ICCA competitions? Give you a hint.
Is it Berkeley?
Nope.
Ooh.
It's a school in California. Berkeley is like, I think, second though. If you're talking about UC Berkeley, they're like second or third.
Long Beach?
Not even close.
Is it Cal? I mean, LA?
Close.
Fullerton.
Not even Fullerton. It's a private school. Trojans, fight on.
The place where they hold Acapella Academy every year.
No, that's that's a good guess. Though.
Really? I thought they put it at USC.
No, they do it at Mount St. Mary's, but USC
Oh, okay.
is the correct answer.
Okay.
Yes, the USC, their group, the SoCal Vocals, their premier acapella group, has the most competitions. Won. And if you guys want to if who wants to guess the number they've won?
23.
No, no. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. No acapella group has won at least 10.
7.
Close.
8.
Colder. How many fingers is one hand on?
5.
5. Yeah, so USC SoCal Vocals have won 5. And most of those students actually have performed like in professional like competitions and stuff like that as well. Like they've had a singer who's performed in The Voice, and he's got that fame since he's worked from like Acapella Academy and then into USC SoCal Vocals. And also you also got someone like Ben Bram, an alumni of SoCal Vocals, who's won best arrangements in the competition, and he's also produced in the top like businesses in the world. He's producing for Pentatonics right now. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this acapella world that people don't realize, and then it's getting them somewhere. So yeah, that's why it's trending as well. And then like Patrick mentioned earlier, like I said, Acapella Academy, that's like a camp that people like to go to every summer. It's a camp run by Avi Camplin, former member of Pentatonics. They do great stuff in there, and like I said, Ben Bram runs it with him too. And yeah, and they learn a lot. And then next thing you know, Acapella Academy, those who actually go to Acapella Academy are more likely to get into these top acapella groups like USC SoCal Vocals, even like what else? There's also Berkeley Pitch Slap. There's also Northeasterners from Northeastern University. Those guys, like they kick ass. Excuse my profanity, but yeah, they kick butt. So yeah, cool. So, and I'm gonna move on to the shows, but yeah, we also have shows like the Sing Off. It put Grammy Award winning acapella group Pentatonics on the rise. So good thing Sing Off is a thing. I don't know if do you guys know if they do a new season? I don't think they do. I feel like they don't right now, but I hope they do. Other notable acapella groups include Philharmonic. They're a Filipino acapella group based in California as well. And they're getting fame on YouTube along with Voice Play and Home Free. So if you guys want to check them out later, like go for it. And yeah, they do some great stuff. All right, let's move on. All right. Okay, so let's discuss why do we think teens and college students love acapella so much? Like, what comes into mind when?
Usually it's music they know.
Music they know. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
It's more stylistically relevant to them than like classical singing or something like that.
Yeah. Love that. I love those. Yeah, those are two great answers. Yeah.
It's also just really fun to just bop with your friends.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, these are great. These are great thoughts. Any more thoughts? No.
In
All
the
right.
chat, Nikki says there's freedom to pick more modern pop type tunes.
Yes. Yes. Good job, Nikki. Yeah, that's also that's a great thought as well. All right. Yeah, so yeah, those are some great thoughts. Here's some stuff that I put too. So yeah, who mentioned style of music again? I forget. That was Ginger, right? Yeah, Ginger, yeah, you mentioned style of music. Yep. And totally, yeah, style of music. It's like really fun to groove to. Singing with beatboxers, that's something people want to experience too. I don't say that because I'm a beatboxer, but but yeah, like, oh shoot, the chair. Okay, but yeah, singing, because beatboxers like tend to create some like crazy beats and all that, and like the sound of it too just is so appealing, which is why like people are thinking like, oh man, if you sing with a beatboxer, like I'm getting that jam and all that, and like I'm kind of feel like I'm actually like singing in a song, like in a song, like in a way. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, and also acapella groups. I know most of them are actually student led, even though like high school acapella groups, like they're they obviously have like a choir director and all that for that, but at the same time, like a lot of the students, they decide within each other, and then next thing you know, like choir directors will possibly like help them arrange it, or they could help them choreograph, or like help them, create the sounds they want, with those songs. So yeah, but most of all, like students like themselves kind of get the call on what they do with their music. And usually in smaller groups too, because acapellas tends to have um smaller amounts of people in a group. There's more interaction and there's more chemistry, and it's much easier to uh get a feel of each member compared to like a big like choir, like with like 80 people, because a cappella groups tend to be like within like 10 to 20 people, maybe a little lower than that. But yeah, usually I found, based off my experiences, I found that my, like, if I'm interacting with a smaller amount of group people, it's gonna force me even to like get the chemistry with the group as well, compared to like 80 people in the choir. So yeah. And finally, I know like this could probably fall into like beatboxers too, but like rhythms too. Rhythms get a little funky in a way, and also it's like rhythms that are interesting that we don't really use. So um yeah. Yeah, and the rhythms are more like stylistic as well. So yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you guys how we could like possibly like create a group in like our own acapella group as well. Okay. I've never personally created a group yet, but based off how like what I've experienced, I feel like these are good like thoughts of like what you could think about if you want to start one, for sure. So yeah. So who should be in your acapella group? So I divided them to what should we at least have, who should we have at least in our groups, and who can be extra help. So who should we have at least? You at least should have one bass and one beatboxer, because bass, you need that foundation. You just need that foundation, because or else if you don't have that, like the sound is just gonna sound weird. So always have a bass. And I would definitely have a beatboxer too, because with both bass and a beatboxer, you have lots of flexibility to pick your rep. So make sure we have both of those in your group. And so next, obviously we need great singers to sing at least like the background vocals and all that, like not like bass kind of styles, but like more like, you know, for like sound effects and all that, you know, for the background with the background vocals. And also make sure we don't have too many people or too less, because you know, if you have too much, you're just gonna sound like a big ass choir, and then like you can't. I don't know if it's gonna sound well with like you all singing like a pop song like BTS Dynamite or something like that, or if you have too little, like there's just not much projection. So make sure you just have like somewhere in the middle. You also want people who could read music. So you know, those who sight read well or know the notes or know what the rhythms are, like that's someone who we should have at least, so that way they could teach others in the group to do that as well. I know in Spartones I don't pick personally in Spartones, like it's great to have music majors. I personally don't I don't pick like just because you're a music major, like you're in a way. Like I like to pick based off of how you're gonna be a leader into the group. So how motivated you are with this, and how interactive you want to be with everyone in the group. So that's how I pick my music majors in a way. But yeah, most of my music majors are like they tend to like read music well, and they also have great chemistry with our group as a whole. So love that. And then finally, you should probably have someone who can arrange. I know in Spartones right now, I arrange most of the music. Brendan has done some arranging too. Yeah, and then there's more people are starting to arrange too. I think like Angie, Eva has arranged. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, and then those who arrange, it'll be much easier to just get music going instead of trying to like purchase the music that, because I know Ben Bram's music, I really wanted to do his piece, but I looked on sheet music, it was like $150. I'm not spending $150 for like 20 people each. Okay, like 150 times 20, oh heck no. But yeah, so if you could arrange, like saves you money. And what can be extra help? So at least for the collegiate level, someone with a great network. So luckily, I know a lot of people. I always contact people from LA, people from NorCal. I even like to contact friends of friends who know people from like outside of Cali. So that way we get more ways to showcase ourselves. Because what's also great in the collegiate acapella world is when we do acapella showcases, we invite other collegiate acapella groups to showcase what they do, and it brings a bigger audience in the crowd. And then if you do well, who knows, you might like outshine someone else's acapella group in their own showcase. So I don't mean to be like competitive, but yeah, like you never know, like you could be the favorite, and next thing you know, people are going to wait on you instead of the acapella group that's that's hosting us. So yeah, so that's why it's good to have great networks for sure. And also if you could bring in someone who's great with audio technology, you know, if you guys, because a lot of acapella groups too are starting to produce their own EPs and all that. I hope one day I could get a Spartones original out, so I hope to find someone. I do have someone actually who's great with audio technology, so yeah, I hope that happens. But yeah, so those are just things to think about with who you want in your acapella group. Okay, so now here's my typical voicing. So my voicing is usually like a ICCA kind of lineup. I like to have 4 sopranos, 2 soprano 1s, 2 soprano 2s, just because their high notes are gonna stick out a lot, and I don't want overpowerment. So that's why I keep the sopranos at less 4. Same thing for altos. I do 5, 2 alto 1s, 3 alto 2s. Altos for me, I don't mean to call anyone out, like I said, but altos, yeah, like most of my altos tend to not have been projected a lot in our rehearsals. So that's why I like more alto. So that way I hear them a lot better. And especially with more low altos, it gives me more flexibility of what to notate in my scores. So when it comes to arrangements and all that. Tenors, I like to do 4, because tenors also with the lower voices, they're gonna project a lot too, and I don't want that overpowerment. So I do 4, I do 2 tenor 1s and then 2 tenor 2s. So that's my split with A part as well. And then basses, I put 4 for now for this, but beatboxers, if a beatboxer is not beatboxing right, I want them singing bass, because they have that they have that rhythmic feel, and usually basses have more rhythmic stuff, and then beatboxers tend to have more of like a very like sound bass. They could do some bass sounds too with their own beatbox, like something like that, like throat singing and all that. So that's why I prefer them to sing bass too as well. So what I do, I like to do 2 bass 1s, so 2 baritones, and then 3 bass 2s. So that way there's that resonance at the bottom, because I just love resonance in acapella. And if I do 6 part, just 3 3 3 3 3. So 3 sopranos, 3 mezzos, 3 altos, 3 tenors, 3 baritones, 3 basses, unless the beatboxer, is singing or is beatboxing. But otherwise, 3 3 3 3 3 3. I think that counted. I think I said the right amount of 3s. Yeah, I hope I did. Cool. So now let's talk about how I like to arrange or compose, whatever you want to call it. So writing in notation. So I have 2 methods that I want us to think about, okay? Really keep in our mind. So I have the TMB method and the BMT method, okay? So the TMB method is the top, middle, bottom. And this is something I completely made up myself. And so the TMB method, so like I said, it's top, middle, bottom, and the BMT method, bottom, middle, top. So with the TMB method, I use that mostly for faster paced or more like rhythmic tunes. So so usually the top would be like the melody. So what I like to do is, like, I think just writing the melody for like more faster pace or rhythmic tunes is much easier for me to start off at, and then I build below from the middle or background vocals for the middle background vocals, and then finally the bottom line for bass and beatbox. Because I think for me, when you have a more rhythmic tune, there's so many options of what you could do with the bass line and beatbox, and writing the rhythmic line your own way. So because when you hear more rhythmic tunes, you can't really tell what's right in the bass line or what's wrong in the bass line. Same with the drums as well. So that's why I save that for last. But the middle background vocals, I could tell easy with the faster pace rhythm. So yeah, that's why I go with TMB method for more faster pace and rhythmic tunes. And the BMT method, bottom, middle, top. I use that for mostly slow pace songs, like ballads, or songs with just a lot of chord structure. So does anyone know about the song Hymn of Axiom? Anyone know about it? Everyone heard of it? Hymn of Axiom? Yeah. Somebody. Yeah. Some of you guys know. So with that song, that's typically just chord structure. If I was Vienna Tang, the arranger of Hymn of Axiom, I would definitely start bottom and build my way up, because for me, if I'm just building chords, mostly chords and like ballads in the same like rhythmic pattern, I want to be able to build up, just build up from the root. So that way we know how to blend much better from bottom to top. So that's why I use BMT for ballads or like songs with just more chord like. Okay, so that's writing in notation. And this is what I like to consider in when I'm arranging. So first, I think about what kinds of sounds do I want and how I'm gonna get that. So so examples of kinds of sounds you could think like, oh, I'm thinking gospel, I'm thinking rock, hip hop, maybe choral, who knows, or barbershop, who cares? But yeah, so now I have to think about how I'm gonna get that sound. So some ways to think about that. The tone. Is the tone nasal? Is the tone kind of dark in a way? Is it bright? when I'm singing and making sounds. Same thing with diction. How am I bringing the best out of my tone? Is it best to sing it on e, I, o, u, or put a syllable put a syllable before to be more percussive, like dum or da, whatever. And another thing too is range of notes. Some sounds are not meant to be high tone or low tone, like a bass. Basses, they're not supposed to sing high. They want to keep a foundation, so we keep them low. Or if you're gonna create some like electric guitar sound, like the like Queen or something, you don't want people to sing low. You want them to strum high. So you got to think, okay, like I got to make this high so that way you have more of that guitar sound. And also beatbox sound. Is my beatbox sound going to be more alternative or hip hop, whatever? Like if I'm doing a hip hop beat, I go like, but if I'm doing like rock, I'd be like something like that. So yeah. And also another thing to consider is the range of our singers. You want to make sure your singers are not singing way too high or low, like out of their comfort range. I remember one time in Spartans that we did an arrangement from someone, and what like threw it off, like the arrangement sounded great off of a MIDI, but what kind of threw it off was how you have all these low altos singing like really high Fs they're not really like comfortable with, and like they're really literally straining their own voices. So that's something, and you want to make sure you don't have that. And I also had like tenors, like tenors singing like low Ds that usually they don't sing, and they don't even sing that like, honestly, I don't think any of my tenors sing low Ds or like low Fs or Gs. So you want to make sure we don't have that. So yeah, really consider our range of our singers, or else you won't get the tone or quality you want. Okay, so here's I'm gonna show you guys some arrangement examples of what I did. Or wait, actually I forgot one more thing. Okay, one more thing. So let's do a little activity together. Let's kind of make our own arrangement sound in a way. So who wants to pick me a song, or pick a song for us? I hope I know this song though.
That's What I Like by Bruno Mars.
That's What I Like by Bruno Mars. Okay. Brendan, can you give me okay, I want you to think about what instruments do you think are going to be used in that song, at least, or what instruments are used in that song? That you hear.
Drum set.
Drum set, okay.
Trumpet. Sax, probably.
Sax, okay.
How many?
So mostly brass and like drum beat, right?
Yeah.
Like what kind of drum beat would you say? Like
a little funky, but not too heavy on the funk. Something like that.
Okay. So now what I want you to do, Brendan, is give us a sound for one of the instrumentation parts at least, or give us like this. Do you know like how you would sing the instrumentation parts? Like just do it, but like, yeah, like we're not gonna like, you don't have to explain it, like you just do it real quick.
Okay. For trumpet, I'd probably do like falsetto, like I don't know.
Okay, so we have okay, so now that we thought about okay, what kind of tone would you say that was? It could be anyone could answer this now, so
okay,
don't worry.
It was a very pointed forward tone.
Yeah, very pointed forward. And what kind of syllable would he probably use? What syllable would you probably use, like diction wise, when it comes to diction, like a syllable?
I would definitely at least use something that is a brighter vowel, so like E and I sound, and also maybe not have a super plosive vowel in the front. So something like he did where it was a D,
okay,
or something softer so it doesn't interfere with the pure sound you're creating.
For sure. So yeah, he went, so like, so he went, yeah, that did contain the pointy forward, but also you have that slight D, but not much of a D, but like you got more of like dental, you got that dental that kind of way. What was the range? Was it kind of high? Was it low, mid?
I would say, like, in terms of range, maybe you would want to put this on like a high tenor, because
Okay.
it's getting in that like treble range, but
Mhm.
you wouldn't want like a treble voice singing it like an alto or soprano, because it
Right.
would be too like round and too breathy, whereas tenors could get that really like bright sound.
Exactly. Yeah. Because also with a treble voice too, like when they're trying to do that, it's not gonna create the projection as well. Because also a projection is a key thing. And when the tenors do it though, when a tenor voice usually does it, they're gonna project it a lot better than a treble voice. So yeah, really keep that in mind. But yeah, great activity, y'all. We all arranged something. Woo! Let's go. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys a couple of examples of how I use the TMB and the BMT method, and then this probably will be the last thing we do. And then after that, I'll be open to questions, a few questions if we have any. Let's go to my, by the way, so I use a thing called flat.io. I like it so much just because it keeps me very organized and all that stuff. And like I think the controls are much easier for me too, to just type out the notes and all that. And you also get, it also has a way of downloading your own like MIDI tracks. And usually like I start with this, I use this and like download like a part track for it. And then like it's done in like a few seconds. So yeah. Okay, so this song is called Body on Me by Rita Ora, featuring Chris Brown. I did not do it in Spartans just because it was so inappropriate, but I don't want us to focus on the solo, okay? Well, maybe a little bit just for the TMB method wise, but I'll show you guys maybe like a little chunk of it from the beatbox. Okay. Cool. So I'll tell you guys a little bit of an in-depth of what I did. So TMB. So we talked about top, middle, bottom, right? So so when I was hearing this piece, if you actually hear the original piece itself, it's so quick. So I'm thinking like, first I'm thinking my tempo, and afterwards I'm thinking, okay, like what are the notes, what kinds of notes I'm writing for the melody. So the solo part at the top. So top is usually for like solo and like upper voices, like sopranos and all that. So so what I started off here is just write the melody. So that way I finished at least some of my arrangement, right? And I already knew that I wanted the top to just be a solo, because I felt like doing it with multiple people, it wouldn't just sound as great than doing it by itself. And which leads me to this part right here. So this part was like the first part I heard instrumentation wise. Like I heard like a little like synthesizing beat that went da 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 da, and then again da 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 da. Yeah, and then so I knew I wanted that part too. So I have the solo, and then I have this instrumentation part. Next thing you know, now let's get into more middle ground in a way. So altos and tenors, it was so confusing because there were so many ways I could have done it. Like there were some rhythmic ways, but also I'm thinking like, if soprano was like doing most of the rhythm, how about put in a little bit of like foundation within the alto and tenor as well, okay? Because yeah, I know foundations mostly for bass, but altos and tenors could also put in like have their own little foundation too, just for like holding out notes. So I wanted like a little like held out sound to just carry through with the rhythm as well. So I did a little quarter note just for a little bit, and then afterwards just for like an extra background vocal kind of like sound, but also it kind of, I felt that R&B in it too. So yeah, that's why I put that there. And then finally you get the bass and the beatbox. So bass, the bass one was hard for me. Like at first, like it took me a while to just get the bass line, because I tried so many ways. Like at first, this quarter note, I did like 4/16 notes, like dum 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 da dum dum dum. But the thing is, as you keep going through that, you're just gonna tire out your basses. So that's why I thought, how can I still keep the same like sound that I want in the bass, but at the same time like not do so much, like do less. So that's when I came up with dum da dum da dum 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 dum. Yeah, and that way the basses aren't tired out, but they're still comfortable, and they're still keeping rhythm. And lastly, you have a beatbox. So the beatbox, when I hear the original song as well, I heard a lot of like snares and a little bit of bass drum as well. But the thing is, it was like, usually snares are also used for like rock music, but there's also snares that are hip hop style. And I heard more of the hip hop style, like R&B hip hop style snares. I went something like that. So I wanted to put that in the beatbox as well, which now creates the whole arrangement and the whole function of the sound. So yeah, so that's my TMB method of Body on Me. Let's look at one more arrangement, and then yeah, I'll be done with this presentation. But so this is a song called Vertigo by Jason Derulo featuring Jordan Sparks. This was like their only song they did together before they broke up. So I could just talk about it a little bit, and I'll play a little bit later. So so what I did here, I knew hearing the song, a lot of the rhythms and all that were just pretty much the same. So, and then it was so slow, just 1, 2, 3, I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 4 so slowly, and just hearing sounds being just held out. So I knew I could use the BMT method for this one. So this beginning part right here, mostly chord-like structure. So we're in the key of A major, 3 sharps, right? So so when I was hearing the chord, I heard first the 4 chord. Then I heard the 5 chord. Then I went up to a 6 chord, but I was a little bit experimenting with that 6 chord, because I wanted, because the normal 6 sounded like it was all right, but it wasn't as interesting, and it didn't create as much color. So I instead made that a 6/7. So F sharp, A, C sharp, and then E, and then boom, I kind of got the clash that I kind of wanted as well. And then you finally end in like a 1/6/4 chord. So yeah, so that's how and then usually I knew, so what I did also was just, I wanted the bass at its own roots. And I heard the bass line like just like this written. And then same with and then tenor, alto, soprano, I just built chords up, and I did what was like mostly comfortable, but also like not as weird, because I didn't want the top to sound like I didn't want the top to also like sound like it was a little off, because like I wanted it to feel like start to finish, you know? So yeah, and then you finally got the solo at the top. So I'll play like just like the few measures, and then yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much beginning of how I built how I did BMT. So yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much all I have to share with when it comes to acapella. Oh yeah, I know I took a lot of time. I'm so sorry. But thank you guys so much for coming out. Sparktones people, thank you all for coming out too. And yeah, it was great. It was great to see everyone here today.
Let's all come off mute and cheer for Brian. Thank you so much, Brian.
Woo!
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, Brian.
Do we have any last questions for Brian? Anything that really sparked your interest? Something you really liked?
I think it was interesting hearing how you build the song and like your little acronym you came up with. I think that's great.
Thank you.
I really love those examples that you gave. It really showed, kind of like what you were explaining, and I really enjoyed those too. They sound great, also.
Thank you. Thank you. It took a lot of time, so yeah.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna hit the end of recording.